Should Jon Jones be stripped? That seems to be the question that's circulating around the MMA world right now. And what is next for the light heavyweight division? First of all, we've all had a good laugh at Jon Jones' video of him being arrested, where he forgot how to do his ABCs. He forgot the alphabet because his daughter is dyslexic, of course. That means that he is therefore dyslexic. What an excuse, by the way. I just went back and rewatched the video. Shout out whoever reminded me in my comments section. Didn't even notice that bit. When they asked Jones to do his ABCs, he said, "My daughter is dyslexic." Don't know how that affects his ability to do his ABCs, but either way, I'm sure his daughter knows his ABCs more than he does anyway, because she's a child and she's still learning it in school. Either way, let's move past all of the hilarity of Jon Jones's incident, where we all had a great laugh. Some of us had a bit of a cry as well, because it was quite a mixed emotion reaction from the video that came out of Jon Jones being arrested, because you were laughing, but you also felt sad that this man existed, because he's clearly going through some shit. Either way, what's next for the light heavyweight division? A lot of people seem to be talking about Jon Jones getting stripped. I want to put that shit to bed right now. Jon Jones fought a month and a half ago. If he does go to jail, and I'll read this from latestmma.com, MMAfighting.com, latest MMA news, there is a quote right here. Veteran defense attorneys based in Albuquerque, New Mexico say the most serious trouble Jones faces is if prosecutors bring into court a 2012 DUI conviction, meaning that he could be charged as a second-time offender. A conviction could result in a mandatory 90-day jail sentence with up to 1 year in jail. That means 90-day jail sentence, because They say it could be up to 1 year in jail. That's if you're a normal person with normal defendants. Jon Jones is a very rich man. He's going to make sure that he gets the minimum sentence that he could possibly get, which in my opinion looks like it's going to be a 90-day jail sentence, seeing as they could bring up his former convictions, because this isn't one of these things where it's a first-time offence, we'll let you off this one time, Jones, you just got caught doing something wrong. This is a moment right now where Jon Jones has done something over and over again. And when you give someone a minimum sentence over and over and over again, and you give them so many chances to make their comeback and make a change in whatever they're doing wrong with their life, and they keep making the same mistakes, the judges need to take that into consideration. And judges are normally in Jon Jones' favour. You know, we've seen that against Dominic Reyes. But in this case, I feel like the judges are actually going to be against Jones for the first time in his life. You know what I mean? We've seen this time and time again. The judges are never against Jones. I watched the robbery of Dominic Reyes versus Jon Jones. Dominic Reyes deserves to win that fight 3-2. Judges saved Jon Jones' ass. I feel like karma's going to go back around, and this time, the judges are going to be on the other side of the cage from Jon Jones. We may be looking at a 90-day jail sentence. There's no way they won't bring up his former convictions. However, does this mean that Jon Jones should be stripped? No, he fought a month and a half ago. If he's in jail for 90 days, 2 months, he'll be fighting by the summer when this whole coronavirus thing blows over. Definitely shouldn't be stripped. I understand there's some talks of an interim belt as well, which doesn't necessarily mean that Jones is getting stripped. However, there is a really bad case right now, and Thiago Santos has called out Dominic Reyes. Both guys, even though I thought Dominic Reyes got robbed against Jon Jones and clearly won 3 rounds to 2, are coming off of losses. You can't have 2 losers fighting for the world championship. Some people, very few, but some people will even argue that Thiago Santos beat Jon Jones. So they would have that argument to say that these guys we think beat Jon Jones, let's have them fight for a belt in the meantime. However, when 2 guys are coming off technical losses that are on their record that cannot change based on opinion of the people, and has only been there since the judges said so, and it cannot change. These two guys are coming off losses right now. You can't have them fight for a world championship belt. I feel as though it would discredit the sport. Another guy that you have to consider here, Jan Blachowicz, was probably going to get a title shot throughout this entire thing. A couple of weeks ago, we even had a massive bit of promo between Jon Jones and Jan Blachowicz, basically solidifying that maybe Jan Blachowicz is going to be next to get a title shot. I feel as though Jan Blachowicz, whatever you do, he has to be involved somehow. And I like Thiago Santos, and I like Dominic Reyes, but one of them's going to have to take the L, and I feel as though it's going to have to be Thiago Santos. He's coming off an injury. You know, I know he's beaten Jan Blachowicz, and believe me, I understand that. He beat Jan Blachowicz, he KO'd him in the 3rd round at UFC Prague. I remember it very well. However, I will say this, Dominic Reyes had a much better performance against Jon Jones than Thiago Santos. Now, Thiago Santos took the fight, he had one leg. By the end of the fight, he had no legs, pretty much. That's very impressive, don't get me wrong. However, I feel as though right now, hot off the press, Dominic Reyes has all of the power in the division because despite the injuries in the fight with Santos and Jones, a lot of people think Jones won that fight, and I think Jon Jones won that fight as well. Don't get me wrong, it was close. I don't mind a split decision, but Jon Jones won that fight. Reyes beat Jon Jones 3 rounds to 2. Very clearly, and if you have eyes and a brain, you know that. 3 rounds went to Dominic Reyes, 2 rounds went to Jon Jones. Every round is scored the same, that's just the way judging works. 10-9, 10-8, either way. They were all 10-9 rounds. Reyes won 3 of them, Jones won 2 of them. Reyes wins the fight very clearly. Reyes has to be involved. Santos is going to get shifted to the side, and I feel like what's next for Thiago Santos would be this. If Anthony Smith beats Glover Teixeira, which I think he will do, but it's also a dangerous fight as well, the winner of Smith versus Teixeira should be next for Thiago Santos, because then you can justify and make Anthony Smith somewhat okay with not getting a title shot next, because people forget about Anthony Smith. He beat Gustafsson, who was at the time top 3 after he lost his title shot to Jon Jones. Beat Alexander Gustafsson, top 3, reclaimed his spot at the top of the rankings, did Anthony Smith. Now he's taken on Teixeira, who again is another top ranked guy. If he wins this, he's going to want some kind of reward or want some kind of certainty that's going to get him back towards a title shot. And I feel like a rematch between him and Thiago Santos is the perfect fight to make because one, it kind of lets Anthony Smith know that, look, this is the reason we can't give you a title shot because you technically have lost to Thiago Santos, even though it was at middleweight, even though it was ages ago and you got finished by a body kick and it was this whole situation, you took a bit of a beating. We're going to give you the opportunity to right your wrong, to get the win back against Thiago Santos. Then we're going to talk about title shots. But right now, I feel like the fight to make would be this. Dominic Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz, to wait and see who's going to be on top when Jon Jones gets back from his 90-day jail sentence. And if it's even that, that's the thing. We don't know if it's going to be a 90-day jail sentence because for some reason, and it seems to happen throughout the world, rich people don't get punished with crimes. And I know you're going to say, what about Harvey Weinstein? Jones ain't well, Jones might be raping. He's not raping people. Jones, I don't know what's going on with Jones. Maybe. Listen, nothing to do. Jones not a convicted guaranteed. I don't know why I'm comparing Jones to Weinstein. I'm sorry. Either way, Harvey Weinstein did get caught. But either way, there seems to be a thing with rich people that have quite a bit of power and quite a bit of leeway and quite a bit of money to spend on quite a bit of lawyers that manages to get them out of trouble and get them out of the sentence that they rightfully deserve. Jon Jones probably won't get in trouble for this. And if he does, it's going to be 90 days. Calm down. Okay? And I think it's going to be 90 days. Hang on a second. How long is it going to be? 90 days. 3 months. I can live with no Jon Jones for 3 months because the only alternative would be Jon Jones versus Jan Blachowicz, which right now isn't too interesting. However, if you make Blachowicz versus Reyes, all of a sudden, if Blachowicz beats Reyes, now we're talking Blachowicz. Now you can get your title shot. And it also would give some credit to Thiago Santos because, listen, if Blachowicz beats Reyes and Santos beats the winner of Smith versus Teixeira, all of a sudden Santos still gets his own way because he beat Blachowicz. So maybe Blachowicz still gets fucked over even if everything goes his own way. However, the fight to make is Reyes versus Blachowicz next. I don't think that Jon Jones should be stripped. I don't think that should happen whatsoever. I don't know why people are talking about that. It's only going to mess up the division if you have 2 guys that are losers fighting for the title. Santos versus Reyes should not happen. I felt like it could happen. And it can still happen, don't get me wrong. But if you're going to have it for a title fight where there's a vacant belt on the line, you can't sell a title fight with 2 losers. You just can't do it. You can't make a title fight at light heavyweight and not bring up Jan Blachowicz into the mix, who's now coming off a big KO over Corey Anderson, who, if Corey Anderson had beaten Jan Blachowicz, would have a title fight signed right now, most likely. You can't do that. Jan Blachowicz, Dominic Reyes, no stripping of the title of Jon Jones. Everybody calm down. Calm down. Everything's going to be okay. Jon Jones is going to go to the court. The judges are going to be on his side. Well, the judges aren't going to be on his side, but his defendant is going to be on his side, and his defendant is going to work to get the least minimum responsible action, okay? And he's going to get Jon Jones maybe a 90-day period in jail. And if not, maybe Jon Jones is going to have to do nothing whatsoever and just make a public tweet about how he's a changed man and how people should not drunk drive. Much like the Khabib in Vegas situation. That's how I think this is going to end up. I think we're going to see in a few days' time Jon Jones make a video on YouTube, or sorry, on Instagram or Twitter saying that he disagrees with drunk driving and he's going to have to do some kind of anti-drunk driving adverts to make up for this whole situation because, you know, rich people don't get punished and put in jail. It's just the way things work. And honestly, if they do put Jon Jones in jail, the coronavirus is going to play a bit of a factor in that, because I feel like if they could avoid putting more people in an enclosed space together, they're going to right now. If the coronavirus hits the jail cells in America, there's going to be big fucking problems, okay? Because that is a very compact space with a lot of people, and that would be a breeding ground for a virus. So right now, I'm sure the judges are thinking this. If we can avoid putting someone in jail, we're going to maybe take that chance. I don't think Jones is going to end up in jail. If he does, it'll be for 90 days, which means 3 months. Calm down. He fought a month and a half ago. We'll have Reyes fight Blachowicz in the meantime, in the main event of a fight night, and paint it out as a narrative of the winner will get the title shot and be waiting for Jon Jones when he comes back. Hopefully it's Dominic Reyes, and I think that Dominic Reyes would beat Jan Blachowicz. And I think that Dominic Reyes will be the guy that's waiting for Jon Jones. If Reyes wins another fight and he is the man that's waiting for Jon Jones when Jones comes back, now we're talking. I'm not sold on an immediate rematch between Reyes and Jones. And I'm the guy on YouTube. I'm the loudest about Reyes getting robbed. He did get robbed. 3 rounds to 2. Clear as fucking day. I've watched it over and over and over again. 3 rounds to 2. 3 rounds to 2. Every single time I watched it, 3 rounds to 2. Reyes, he got robbed. It's just blatant. You can't give him a title shot coming off a loss. Challengers don't get rematches. That's just the way the game fucking works. Reyes versus Blachowicz. The 2 guys in the conversation for title shots. Make them cancel each other out. Thiago Santos hopefully could get the rematch with Anthony Smith if Smith beats Teixeira, and if Smith loses to Teixeira, which could happen because Teixeira seems to have a knack for ruining plans. He beat Nikita Krylov, who just beat Johnny Walker, by the way. Listen, Teixeira versus Smith is a good fight, and if Teixeira beats Smith, now we've got a Brazilian versus a Brazilian, maybe in the main event of a Brazil fight night in the future in the summer. Santos versus Teixeira. Passing of the torch. Can Santos get the job done? Can Teixeira, the old wily veteran, get his way back towards a title shot? Those are the best things to do right now. I don't want to see Santos Reyes. I want to see Reyes Blachowicz. I want to see Santos, winner of Glover Teixeira, Anthony Smith. That makes the most sense. Let's not strip Jon Jones. And I know people are going to say, look, doesn't matter about the sentence and how long he's going to be off. He should be stripped just because he did something wrong. I understand. It's going to be bad for the division if he does that. Okay, I fully understand. Listen, your belt of a division, and I've said this before, is only as good as the people who fight for it. And if you've got 2 guys who are coming off losses, fighting for your world championship belt, that belt is the summary of 2 losers. And it's going to mean nothing until Jon Jones gets back anyway. Everybody calm down. We're not stripping Jon Jones. He's going to be out for another 3 months, which is a very normal layoff for a champion anyway. Think about Tyron Woodley. Think about Kamaru Usman. These guys that fight every other 6 months. Like, it's a very normal cycle for a world champion. Look at Khabib as well recently. I know there's other factors that come into that. But, you know, 6 months is a very normal time to wait for a world champion. We're not stripping Jon Jones. If they want to make an interim belt, maybe we can talk about making Dominic Reyes versus Thiago Santos. Maybe. But right now, Blachowicz, I feel like, needs to be in the mix. Reyes versus Blachowicz. Santos versus the winner of Smith versus Teixeira. Everybody calm down with this stripping Jon Jones talk. He's going to be in jail for a maximum of 3 months. Then he'll be out. And if that, he probably won't go to jail at all, like I said. Everybody take a big breath. I know we're all angry at Jones right now because he put the people's lives at risk by getting behind the wheel while he was drunk. I understand. Let's not ruin the division. Let's just find ourselves a contender and wait for Jones to get back. Actually, maybe Jones being out of the mix at light heavyweight is the best thing to happen to the division right now, because listen, if we were going to rush Blachowicz into a title shot, there's no hype. If we were going to immediately rematch Reyes versus Jones, there's no hype. If we were going to do something with Thiago Santos, there's no hype. Let's build some hype while Jones is gone. Let's make Reyes Blachowicz. Blachowicz will get more hype if he beats Reyes. Reyes will get more hype if he beats Blachowicz. Let's make Reyes Santos. Let's just have some fun with the contenders. Nobody's getting stripped. Calm the fuck down. Like and subscribe. Goodbye. Click that button there. I'll see you later. Yeah.